3:47 a.m. October 14th. Las Vegas, Nevada. The temperature has dropped to 51 degrees. A thin desert wind moves through the corridor of tents lining Four-Master Lane just north of the Fremont Street Experience, where the neon glow gives way to industrial warehouses and chain-link fencing. 43 structures. Tarps stretched over shopping carts, plywood lean toes braced against a concrete wall tagged with weathered graffiti. To the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, this encampment has been cataloged for 19 months as Site 7B. A welfare check location, a place social workers visit on Tuesdays. At 3:47 a.m., the welfare check ends. 3 black Suburbans roll to the mouth of the alley with their headlights off. Behind them, 2 unmarked Sprinter vans. Behind those, a tactical element from the FBI's Las Vegas field office, joined by Homeland Security Investigations, ICE's Enterprise Operations Unit, and a 6-member team from the DIA's Special Operations Division flown in from Quantico 40 8 hours earlier. They are not here for a welfare check. They are here because of what a confidential informant handed over on September 2nd. A single SanDisk micro SD card containing 412 encrypted files, ledger entries dating back to March 2021, and 17 minutes of audio captured inside a 40-foot shipping container parked behind a self-storage facility on Northland Boulevard. The audio contained the voice of a man the residents of this encampment called Pastor Dale. The man federal agents would, within 90 minutes, identify as the operational center of a $2.3 billion fentanyl distribution network and the broker of a child smuggling pipeline running from the Sonoran border through 3 southwestern states. This is the story of how a homeless outreach ministry became one of the largest narcotics and human trafficking fronts ever prosecuted in the American Southwest. And it is the story of how close it came to never being discovered at all. The man's full name is Dale Henry Brunner, 58 years old. A resident of Henderson, Nevada, the registered founder and chief executive of Desert Mercy Outreach, a 501c3 nonprofit incorporated in March 2019. To the city of Las Vegas, Brunner was a partner. Desert Mercy held 3 municipal service contracts totaling $1.4 million annually. To the Clark County Continuum of Care, he was a board member. To Channel 8 News, which profiled him in June 2023, he was the man who walks among the forgotten. He drove a 2019 Ford Transit van wrapped in vinyl reading faith. Food. Family. He kept a hand-bound Bible on the dashboard. He wore the same blue windbreaker to every city council meeting. He also, according to the federal indictment unsealed on October 14th at 11 a.m., oversaw the distribution of approximately 1.7 million counterfeit oxycodone pills pressed with fentanyl between January 2022 and August 2025. He moved an estimated 217 kilograms of pure fentanyl through 5 drop sites across the Las Vegas Valley. He laundered proceeds through 6 shell companies, 4 of which were nominally affiliated with religious organizations. And in a sealed superseding indictment filed 3 days later, he is charged with conspiracy to commit human trafficking involving minors, specifically the transportation of 41 unaccompanied children across the U.S.-Mexico border between June 2023 and July 2025, routed through stash houses in Yuma, Phoenix, and Bullhead City, before being placed with what prosecutors describe as purchasing households in Nevada, Utah, and Idaho. 41 children. The youngest, 4 years old. How does a man like this operate for 6 years in the open? The answer begins inside the shipping container. At 3:51 a.m. on October 14th, the breach team enters Site 7B from 2 directions. They are looking for one man, a lieutenant named Reynaldo Ray Castelleda, identified through wire intercepts as Brunner's primary distribution coordinator. Castelleda has been sleeping in a green canvas tent at the southern end of the encampment, third from the wall, for 71 consecutive nights. He is not there. What agents find instead, in a Coleman cooler buried under a layer of soiled blankets, are 14,200 counterfeit M30 pills, vacuum-sealed in heat-shrunk plastic. In a second tent 2 structures away, $186,000 in banded U.S. currency. In a third, 3 Glock 19 pistols with the serial numbers chemically erased, a Springfield XD9, and a Stag Arms AR-15 with a 30-round magazine seated in the well. The encampment is not an encampment. It is a forward distribution node. Agents would later document that of the 43 structures at Site 7B, only 9 were occupied by actual unhoused individuals. The remaining 34 were operational positions, staffed in rotating shifts by members of Brunner's network who were paid $400 per week in cash and provided with prepaid debit cards, prepaid phones, and instructions to refuse all social services so as to maintain their cover. The unhoused residents who did live there, the 9, were paid in counterfeit pills. They were also, in the words of one assistant U.S. attorney, the human shield that made the entire operation invisible. Who searches a homeless camp for $2 billion? No one. That was the point. The investigation that brought federal agents to Four Master Lane began, improbably, with a dental records check. In February 2025, a 6-year-old girl was struck by a vehicle in a Walmart parking lot in St. George, Utah. She survived. The driver fled. When paramedics transported her to Dixie Regional Medical Center, the adults who claimed to be her parents could not produce identification. They could not name her pediatrician. They could not name the school she allegedly attended. A hospital social worker contacted Utah's Division of Child and Family Services. DCFs contacted the FBI's Salt Lake City field office. The FBI ran the girl's dental records, not against missing persons in the United States, but against an Interpol database maintained by the Mexican Attorney General's office. The match returned in 11 minutes. The girl's name was Sofa. She had been reported missing from a village outside Hermosillo, Sonora, on August 19, 2024. She had been gone for 6 months and 3 days. The adults who brought her to the hospital were arrested. Under interrogation, the woman, a 44-year-old U.S. citizen with no prior record, provided one name in exchange for consideration. Pastor Dale. By March 2025, a joint task force had been assembled. The FBI, the D, the Nevada Attorney General's Organized Crime Unit, and 2 officers from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, whose identities remained sealed in court filings because of credible concerns about leaks within their own department. Those concerns were not unfounded. The September 2nd informant, the man who delivered the SanDisk card to a federal agent in the parking lot of a Boulder Highway IHOP at 2:14 in the morning, was a former employee of Desert Mercy Outreach who had spent 18 months photographing ledgers, recording meetings, and copying files from Brunner's personal laptop during weekly board sessions held above a vape shop on West Sahara. His name has not been released. He is currently in protective custody at an undisclosed location. The files he provided documented payments to 3 individuals identified in the indictment only as co-conspirators 4, 7, and 9. Co-conspirator 4 received $312,000 between 2022 and 2024. Co-conspirator 7 received $478,000 in the same period. Co-conspirator 9 received a single payment of $1.2 million in November 2024. Co-conspirator 4 was, according to court filings, a lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department assigned to the Homeless Outreach Team. Co-conspirator 7 was a deputy director within a Clark County social services agency. Co-conspirator 9 was a state-level elected official whose identity remains under seal pending grand jury proceedings. 3 corrupt enablers, each positioned to ensure that Site 7B and 4 other locations like it would never be searched, never be cleared, never be looked at twice. Each of them, the indictment alleges, knew. Each of them, the indictment alleges, was paid. At 5:30 am on October 14th, while agents continued to process Site 7B, a parallel operation was underway 47 miles to the southeast. Tactical units approached a 4,200 square foot residence in the McDonald Highlands community of Henderson, a private gated development where the average home value exceeds $2.8 million. The home, registered to a Wyoming LLC named Sagebrush Mercy Holdings, was Dale Brunner's primary residence. He was inside. He did not resist. What agents recovered from the property over the following 19 hours included $4.1 million in U.S. currency, stored in a Liberty Lincoln safe in the master closet, 14.2 kilograms of pure fentanyl in a chest freezer in the garage, ledgers documenting transactions totaling $2.3 billion across the operation's lifetime, 2 encrypted signal devices, a Glock 43 pistol, and, in a locked filing cabinet in a 3rd-floor office, manila folders containing the names, ages, and photographs of 41 children. Each folder contained a price, The lowest figure in any folder was $24,000. The highest was $190,000. Simultaneously, in coordinated raids executed at 5:30 in Pacific Time, federal agents arrested 23 additional individuals across 3 states, 17 in Nevada, 4 in Arizona, 2 in Utah. The arrests included Reynaldo Castaeda, taken without incident at a Days Inn in Bullhead City. They included the operators of the 4 stash houses identified by the informant's ledgers. They included a chemist, a Chinese national who had overstayed an F1 student visa by 4 years, who had been pressing the counterfeit pills in a converted RV parked at a long-term storage lot in North Las Vegas. They also included, at 7:14 a.m. that morning, the LVMPD lieutenant identified as co-conspirator 4, arrested in the parking lot of his daughter's elementary school in Summerlin. The deputy director, identified as co-conspirator 7, surrendered voluntarily that afternoon with her attorney. The state-level elected official remains, as of this reporting, named only in sealed filings. How does a man in a vinyl-wrapped van with a Bible on the dashboard move 217 kilograms of fentanyl and 41 children through 3 states for 6 years? The same way every operation of this scale has ever functioned. With cover, with money, with the deliberate, sustained, and well-compensated failure of the institutions that were supposed to be watching. Desert Mercy Outreach received $1.4 million per year from municipal contracts. It received an additional $2.1 million between 2020 and 2025 in federal grants administered through HUD and AICHS. It was audited twice. Both audits, conducted by a Las Vegas accounting firm now itself under federal investigation, returned clean. The shipping container behind the self-storage facility on North Lamb Boulevard was leased in the name of a fictitious tenant. The Ford Transit van was registered to a Desert Mercy volunteer who had been deceased since 2020. The Wyoming LLC that owned the Henderson residence was one of 6 shell companies layered through a registered agent service in Cheyenne that the indictment identifies as having serviced no fewer than 41 related entities tied to the network. The pattern is not unique. It is, in fact, increasingly common. Federal authorities have, in the 18 months preceding this case, identified at least 11 similar operations in which narcotics distribution networks have embedded themselves within nonprofit infrastructure serving vulnerable populations. The reasons are operational, homeless services generate constant turnover, minimal oversight, and a population whose disappearance or distress is unlikely to attract investigative attention. They generate, in the words of one DIA supervisor cited in the indictment's supporting affidavit, the perfect logistical envelope. On October 17th, 3 days after the raids, U.S. Attorney for the District of Nevada Jennifer Maldonado stood before a podium in the federal courthouse in downtown Las Vegas. She spoke for 11 minutes. Today, she said, we have dismantled what we believe to be the most extensive convergence of narcotics trafficking, human trafficking, and public corruption ever prosecuted in this state. This was not a drug ring that happened to traffic children. This was not a trafficking ring that happened to move narcotics. This was a unified criminal enterprise that monetized human suffering at every available margin, and it was protected, for years, by individuals who took an oath to do the opposite. She paused. To the families of the 41 children identified in this indictment, we have begun the process of reunification. To the unhoused residents of Site 7B and the 4 related locations, we are working with partner agencies to ensure your safety and your housing. To the public servants who maintained their integrity in this case at significant personal risk, thank you. To those who did not, we are coming. Dale Henry Brunner is being held without bail at the Nevada Southern Detention Center in Pahrump. His trial is scheduled to begin in March 2026. He faces a maximum sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, plus a statutory minimum of 30 years on the trafficking counts alone. His attorney has indicated he will plead not guilty. The chemist faces deportation following any sentence. Castaeda has, according to court filings, begun cooperating. The lieutenant has not. Sofa, the 6-year-old struck in the St. George parking lot, was reunited with her mother in Hermosillo on April 9, 2025. 29 of the remaining 40 children have been identified and located. 11 remain missing. 11 children still missing. As of this reporting, You should understand what this case represents. Not the arrest of one man, not the dismantling of one network, but the exposure of a model that has now been replicated, identified, and prosecuted in at least 11 jurisdictions across the United States in the past 18 months alone. The model works because we look away, because the people it preys upon are the people we have already, collectively, decided not to see. The unhoused, the undocumented, the trafficked, the children whose names we do not know. Brunner understood this. So did the lieutenant. So did the deputy director. So, the indictment alleges, did the elected official whose name remains sealed. They understood that invisibility is the most valuable commodity in American criminal enterprise, and they understood that the easiest way to render something invisible is to dress it in the uniform of charity. Look closer. Look at the nonprofits operating in your own city. Look at the contracts. Look at the audits. Look at the encampments your municipality has cataloged and forgotten. Ask who profits from the forgetting. 11 children are still missing. Somewhere, someone knows where they are.